All right, so we are ready to get started, right? Yeah, if I can see, give me some love. Yeah, if you're online with us and you're able to be present with us and show us your beautiful faces, that would be great. Just really excited to be with you today so that you can get to know Genentech and our program in partnership with Howard University. My name is Rebecca Vermeulen. I have the incredible honor of helping to lead the Howard program. And just a minute, I'm going to share who's around the table with me as a part of our program altogether. But as we spend some time with you today, I want to just quickly touch on our agenda to give you a sense of what we will be talking about today. So for our time together, this is where we're going to focus. So I'm going to, as I said, spend a little time in introduction so that we can connect to each other. We'll talk about the Howard Fellowship Program, share with you a perspective about Genentech as a company, and then really dive into sharing with you about our fellowship program, the components, areas that we're recruiting for, and really taking some time to share the experience with our fellows. So you get to hear from our fellows that are a part of our community. And we want to make sure certainly that we also spend some time talking about the application process and some time to answer any questions that you have. Does that sound good? Good. Am I seeing love? Right? This is, we give and share love, thumbs up, right? Feel free to interact and stop with questions. So just quickly to introduce myself, as I said, I'm Rebecca Vermeulen. In my day job of responsibilities, I lead our global patient network as a part of our product development medical affairs organization. You're going to hear from one of our fellows. And then in addition, I have the honor of helping to lead our Howard program. I also want to make sure that you get to meet some of our other partners. And so on the Howard side, Rosemary, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you very much, Rebecca. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this information session. My name is Rosemary Alajide. I'm a pharmacist by training, and I had a role different from the one I have now. So right now, I am the project coordinator at Howard University College of Pharmacy, supporting the graduate programs and the industrial partnerships. And previously, I actually had a lot of experience in the pharmaceutical industry as an industry pharmacist. And I worked in various functional areas, including medical affairs and medical information. So I am truly pleased to be part of this program. I'm pleased to be part of my alma mater in making sure this is a success. And I want to make sure that I introduce a few folks that are not on the call, but they support this program on the Howard side. So Dr. Earl Etienne, he is the fellowship director, and he's also the assistant dean of graduate programs and industrial partnerships at the College of Pharmacy. He is the pioneer behind this program, and he sends his regards and his love to everyone that is joining. And I also would be remiss if I did not introduce Mrs. Christina Flood. She, on the back end, drives a lot of financials and traveling inquiries that come from the fellows, and she helps us with the processes that we need to put in place to get things done. She also sends her regards. I'll send it back to you, Rebecca, to introduce the rest of the folks.
Great. Thank you, Rosemary. Mariah, do you want to introduce yourself?
Thanks so much, Rebecca. It's so nice to meet everyone. Wonderful to see your faces. And thanks so much for joining us today. My name is Mariah Annapolis, and I am on the People Experience team at Genentech. I've been at Genentech for almost 2 years, and I recently stepped into a role to support our early talent community here. And it's been a pleasure working with all of our fellows in the Howard program. And I am so excited to continue the work of this program and continue the partnership that we have with Howard University. Thanks so much for being here. And I'll turn it back to Rebecca.
You can give the ball to me after I recognize Mariah is the one that makes the magic happen, right? She really brings everything together on the Genentech side. So thank you, Mariah. Jen, you want to go next?
Sure. So hi, everyone. My name is Jennifer, go by Jen. Last name Wosu. So I'm the first year fellow with Genentech Howard University. I do want to mention this is the inaugural cohort for Genentech Howard. So Kinsley and I serve as the lead fellows, serve as the lead fellows for the 2023, 2023-2024, but we're a part of the cohort for 2023-2025. So it's an honor to have everyone here, and I'm looking forward to helping answer any questions that you guys have and inform you guys of our wonderful program.
That's great. Thank you, Jen. I really appreciate the leadership that you and Kingsley bring together for us. One other person from Genentech that's not with us today, you see her pictures, is Shannon Noonan. Shannon is our Genentech early and career partner. She's part of our global people and culture team, and we really appreciate the support that she brings. So you can see we have a number of individuals that come around this program to make sure that we are set up for success, which is really, really fantastic. I should also mention, you guys, I am a pharmacist too. I've been in the pharmaceutical industry for over 30 years. So like I've grown up in the industry. I've been with Genentech for 11 years, and I was previously with Eli Lilly for 18 years. So again, just to represent the connection in this wonderful pharmacy world that we are all coming from. I'm going to move ahead now and make sure that we give some time to talk about the Howard program. So I'm going to give the floor to Rosemary so you can talk about your perspective representing Howard.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. And for everyone on this call, if you didn't know, Howard University is the singular college of pharmacy in the nation's capital. So we are in the middle of where decisions are made across various industries. So it's actually a true privilege to be part of this college of pharmacy. And our legacy dates back to 1868. So that's a long time in providing pharmaceutical education that consistently nurtures leaders who can go on to various parts of healthcare to make their mark. And we really strive to pave new paths in scholarship, research, and professional growth. And we are a distinguished College of Pharmacy that's been recognized as a top-ranked HBCU pharmacy program in the United States. And so this program has high standards. We focus on distinguishing ourselves in scholarship, research, and definitely promoting professional development and growth, not only for our students, but also after they've graduated. Established in 2012 by Dr. L. Etienne and partners, the College of Pharmacy Pharmaceutical Industry Fellowship Program places a special emphasis on individuals from diverse backgrounds. And you'll see that across our website. You see the different partners we have with industry. And when you see our fellows, you see diversity. And also when we strive to work with partners, we focus on diversity. And we serve to recruit postdoctoral graduates, so either PharmD or PhD graduates that have a proven track record of excellence and also have excellent communication skills, both written and oral. And they're receptive to mentorship, and they have an innate predisposition to leadership. And we are structured as an immersive program. So you get customized experiences through either 2 years or 1 year fellowships at the College of Pharmacy. And we empower hands-on training. So you get experiences and opportunities across academia, biopharmaceuticals, clinical, corporate, and regulatory settings. And so we nurture the groundwork that you need to have a prosperous career in industry and across healthcare. We're truly grateful, and I know that the Dean at the College of Pharmacy, Dean Rati Akiyode, Dr. Earl Etienne, the staff are truly grateful to the commitment of our industrious partners, to the dedication of our preceptors, to the diligence of the staff members that you all do not really see on it. But we're truly grateful to all their commitment to our shared success in this venture. So I will pass it over to the next presenter. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Rosemary. That was a really excellent overview of Howard and the uniqueness of the program that you offer, which is one of the reasons we're so excited that we were one of the first to join in partnership and collaboration for this Howard Fellowship Program. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the company because I really want you to have a sense and essence of what Genentech is about. And so in front of, on this slide, you see the 3 pillars that we really hold ourselves true to as a part of who we are as Genentech and our purpose. So first and foremost, it is about the patients. And as I said, I lead our global patient network. I can represent wholeheartedly that as a company, we are very committed to doing what's right and serving patients' needs. Doing now what patient needs next is our motto. You will come and find that we are a very patient-centric company. You will see pictures of patients around our buildings. It's a part of our core. It's our #1 principle about our belief of doing what's right and making sure that we deliver medical solutions that are going to truly bring value for patients. In addition, we are a company that is founded on science, and you will see that in some of the incredible solutions and products that we've been able to bring forward. We have a very strong commitment to science and basic research, we base a lot of our decisions in determining unmet medical need based upon the new scientific discoveries that we have and an incredible investment in our portfolio and pipeline. You'll find that we are, as a company, one of the leaders in the investment in our product portfolio. And then thirdly, most importantly, is a commitment to our people, because this is what makes the magic happen. And while you will see on the screens of a lot of my colleagues that are joining from Genentech, Mariah, and our fellows, the picture of Genentech in the background. In my background, you see inside the company. This represents a picture inside, and the heart behind me is, I think, a great reflection of our company commitment to people. You will find that we are a community that comes together to support. We're real people, guys. This isn't, a flashy company. We come in to do very best work. We work in collaborative team spirits, and we make sure that we are building an inclusive culture where everyone can belong. And I just think that's incredibly important, as you'll learn about a lot of our efforts supporting inclusion, belonging, and health equity as a commitment to who we are as a company. If we move ahead, just to give you a deeper sense of that, when you come and you become a part of Genentech, you're making a promise. You're making a promise to who we want to be and what we want to be known for as a part of our company culture. And so I won't read this slide to you, but what I will call out is that as a company, we want to be change makers. We want to ensure that everyone is a part of this community that can speak up in a safe environment to lead the change that we want to see, so that we can bring the very best scientific breakthroughs forward, serving the needs of society, and a huge commitment that we have as a company, to patients and society as a whole, addressing the most complex health challenges. So we do not shy away from complex therapies, complex treatments, because we really dedicate ourselves to improving the lives of all patients as an important statement. And the work that we do, as I mentioned, from a diversity and inclusion, making sure we're meeting the needs of all patients, including those that are in underserved areas. If you move ahead, I'm going to move us through our company overview relatively quickly, just to make sure we have time for questions as well. Here's our product portfolio, so you can see the dedication to science. We, have a strong backbone in oncology. Avastin being one of our first and primary leaders, and you can just see the product portfolio that's advanced since that time across all oncology, hematology, breast cancer, colorectal, GI, GU, you name it. That's the space that we're in. In addition, we are now expanding our portfolio. So we're not just an oncology company, certainly not anymore, as we move into other areas supporting virology, immunology, with Rituxan, and rheumatology, neurology for MS, Evrysdi for muscular disorders, and then certainly now moving into rare diseases as well. So really, really strong product portfolio, one of the best in the industry, and something that we are certainly very proud of. And one more slide just to connect you to our company and the incredible workplace that we are. I feel very proud to be an employee of this company. This company was founded in 1976. So we've been delivering on our promise for more than 45 years. We are the world's first biotechnology company. We take a lot of pride in that, in stepping out, as I said, into these courageous areas where we can make a difference. We are headquartered in South San Francisco, although we live in a very global world. And in 2009, Genentech became a member of the Roche Group, which really has expanded our global footprint. With over, in our Genentech US area here in the US, we have 13,500 employees. So lots of us to come around the table here in the US to drive the change that we want to see. So that's a little bit of a perspective about our company. As I said in the Q&A, I am happy to answer any questions that you have about our company and who we are, as being one of the very best places to work. And you can see with some of the honors that we've been able to achieve over the years, recognizing that accomplishment in and itself. Maura, I do want to give the floor to you, because I also want you to be able to share a bit about our commitment to diversity and inclusion.
Absolutely. And thank you so much, Rebecca. What a fantastic overview of Genentech and our drug pipeline and the work that we're doing. And I know that you touched on our diversity and inclusion efforts, and that is a huge commitment that we have at Genentech. And I just want to overemphasize on that, because in 2020, we hired Quita Highsmith, who is our Chief Diversity Officer, to really transform our organization around these three pillars. So focusing on fostering belonging, advancing inclusive research and health equity, and transforming society. And we really believe that our D&I drives innovation, right? It improves scientific and clinical outcomes and contributes to equitable healthcare access for all. And it really creates a better employee experience. And we believe that. So we want to make sure that diversity, equity, inclusion efforts are truly embedded into the fibers of our culture. So I can expand a little bit more on these three pillars. If we go to the next slide. So with the first slide here, with fostering belonging, everyone has a voice here. As Rebecca said, we want to make sure everyone feels deeply included within the culture of Genentech. And so we do a lot around making sure we're bringing stronger representation within specific groups to certain roles within the organization. Pillar 2 is advancing inclusive research and health equity and commitment. We want to make sure we're focusing on advancing inclusion of underrepresented groups in research and development and care delivery to enrich our scientific insights. And so we do a lot in this area. And I know a lot of the fellows that joined us this year had an interest in this. And we want more folks excited about health equity as they apply to this work. So that is a big one for us. And then transforming society and commitment is also a huge pillar, and which makes us a standout organization amongst others within the biotech industry. We do a lot to serve our community around us, not just in the Bay Area, but the greater kind of California region to ensure that we're supporting underrepresented groups and populations to really build the next generation of STEM leaders. And we believe that, and that's why our early talent programs are so important to us, and including our fellowships. So this is a big area for us as well. Next slide. All right, I'm going to turn it back to Rosemary to talk a little bit about our Howard University components within the program, and I can speak to our Genentech components.
Thank you very much, Mariah. So as you can see, we have fellows right now that are helping to coordinate this information session. So at the Howard University Fellowship Program, we truly commend our fellows for their participation in committees. So as a fellow, you have professional development opportunities, leadership and public speaking opportunities in various committees. And we value professional development. So we have a program that you can get trained in as a project manager, and you can get certified. And I know of a few second-year fellows that are already certified PMPs, and I know of year one fellows that have also started their training. So you have that opportunity, and you have various opportunities dependent on the route you take to teach alongside faculty members at Howard University. Folks in the regulatory space get opportunities to take classes with the law school, and they also get opportunities to become regulatory affairs specialist certified. So there's a lot that you can get customized depending on your interests for position. We urge all fellows to be published. So, either in their first or second year, we want them to continue to build on their scholarly acumen, and we can partner them with faculty to do work, or they can also come up with topics and discuss those with either leadership at Howard University or at Genentech. And conferences are a hot topic for fellows because you have that opportunity to hone in on skill set that you need for your functional areas and different rotation areas in industry during your fellowship. So we know that fellows love to go to SHP, DIA, and other conferences that come up during the program term. And you get access to individual coaching. Actually, when you come in for the onboard and orientation process, you're put through various exercises with a leadership team. And that begins the initial kind of mentorship and coaching that you'll get. And then you also get paired with a coach. This will happen in your second year, and you're able to do DISC assessment and own in some skills that you need to continue to build on your professional business acumen after your fellowship is ended. And I'll pass it over to Mariah to take you for the GNE components.
Thanks, Rosemary. So for our Genentech components, this is not an exhaustive list. There are many more benefits under this umbrella, but we wanted to mention a few as you go through this and think about the programs that you're applying to. We believe that these are really critical ones that we wanted to talk a little bit more about. As the program has continued to grow, we've developed Genentech internal committees to build the infrastructure for this program and really think about what we want within particular phases of the fellowship journey. And you have the opportunity to really help us envision the future of this program. And I think that brings in this element of new leadership skills and advocacy for your cohort and for future cohorts. We've put together a PharmD mentorship program across 6 universities that partner within Genentech, and we're super excited to launch that this year. So all of our fellows can opt into this program if they want to pair up with another PharmD in the company and to learn more about their career journey and what they've experienced here at Genentech. So we're really excited about that. Networking events, lunch and learns, and cross program connections. We have so many opportunities for social connection and community, and it's just a great way for us to continue to build the camaraderie between the cohorts and the universities that are here and present. One of the biggest goals is to connect our fellowship community. So we're going to do more of that as much as we can. So we're excited about that. In terms of rotations, not all of our fellows do this, but some of our fellows are taking part in rotations within their own organization. And so they're learning about different departments that fall within their function and using that to support their project. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in the fellow experience. Passing it back to Rosemary.
Thank you, Mariah. We thought it would be a great idea to share some of the qualities that we look for in our candidates. And this is not an exhaustive list, but these are some important skills and competencies to keep in mind that Howard and Genentech will be looking for in a candidate. As I mentioned before, leadership is priority. So we want people that are leaders by heart, or people that would love to be leaders of others. We look for relevant experience. And when you think about relevant experience, not only an industry rotation, this could be a relevant experience in a therapy area. It could be relevant experience in a business area. So relevant experience can be expansive. We also want someone that is knowledgeable of industry that they're looking to go into. So if you're interested in going into Genentech, you need to understand their vision, their values. You need to understand the therapy areas and their focus. So you come up as a high candidate for this role. I also mentioned communication skills. So think about your writing skills, think about your oral skills. Interpersonal communication is truly important when you go into a corporate and industry establishment. Commitment to the work, commitment to the fellowship is really important. We've identified preceptors that are dedicating their time to this program, and we're looking for candidates that are committed to using that time to the best of your ability. Ability to learn, I think that's the next one. It falls right in line with commitment. We're looking for someone that does not have limited beliefs, someone that has a growth mindset, someone that values professionalism, someone that works collaboratively and is a person that can work as an independent contributor, but also values working on a team. Someone that's dedicated and driven. You're going to be spending this time having hands-on training, so you need to be driven outside of just what's been given to you. You need to have your own achievements in line. So you need to be responsible for the success of your fellowship. Someone that's self-aware. When fellows come in during orientation, I give a talk on emotional intelligence, and we talk about the value of self-awareness and cultural competency. You need to be empathetic, think critically. Someone that is adaptable and agile will also be a highly competitive candidate for the Howard Genentech Fellowship programs. Now, this is not exhaustive. We look for leaders, we look for people that are change makers, we look for people that want to contribute to the healthcare system and our industry as a whole. So thank you, and I'll take more questions on this if they come up later on.
Okay, thank you, Rosemary, and thanks for sharing that perspective of what you are looking for. And as I said, you used the word as well. You know, for us as a company, we're looking for people who can come in, be comfortable as leaders, in your skin, be change makers. And if Quita was on this call, she'd say, be bold. And that's what we want to see in folks. And I say that in the context, just to reiterate, you know, this is a company of a culture that really cares about people. And so you're coming into a place that you also know is going to support you on your development journey and give you the exposure that you need to have those experiences and build and continually learn in a safe space. So here's an overview of our positions. And we've included those that we're recruiting for now, as well as those that we're not currently recruiting for, but to give you a sense of the areas where we have Howard fellows currently. So we are recruiting actively for two fellows to come into these areas, one in regulatory affairs, and that does offer a rotational experience as a part of our regulatory team, so you can get some experience working closely with the regulators. And you'll hear more about that from Brittany. And then our product development medical affairs. So if you remember, that's the team that I'm a part of, and Simone is here with us today to talk a little bit about that. The other areas that you can see across the company in our U.S. scientific communications and operations, the customer engagement teams, clinical pharmacology, the chief diversity office, as I've said. So we have Howard Fellows across the company now. And as I said, we're looking to expand that by 2 additional fellows in the coming year. So I'm going to quickly transition because I do want to make sure we have time for you to hear from our fellows and to answer any questions that you may have. So I'm going to give the floor to Brittany.
All right, thank you so much, Rebecca. So hi, everyone. My name is Brittany, and I'm the first year fellow in regulatory affairs, and I'm mainly based in strategy. And so just to give a quick overview about regulatory affairs, so what I do and what is expected of the incoming fellow is to read and interpret global regulations and apply it to the projects that you are working on in order to facilitate drug development. And so it is expected that by the end of the fellowship, hopefully the fellow will take on more responsibilities and then contribute to the design and implementation of regulatory strategies. And I also wanted to touch on some of the projects that I've been working on, just so you can get a better sense of what I'm currently doing. And so even though I've only been with Genentech for 3 months, I really feel like I've been able to learn so much in this role. And so I'm currently working on 3 different projects. And for one, I've already helped with an IND submission. For another project, I'm preparing for 2 FDA meetings right now. And lastly, for my last project, I'm helping with an SBLA filing in order to support the team. And so all of my projects have definitely been, very active, and I'm definitely learning in this fellowship already, even though I'm only 3 months in. I've really been able to see the strategy that my project managers discuss and implement and really try and get a drug approved. In addition, I also wanted to touch on the new program that Genentech has launched this year. And so it's called the Early Talent Development Program, also known as the ETDL. And so essentially the purpose of this program is for fellows to get more projects and opportunities outside of strategy. And so if you're interested in learning more about documentation, submissions and labelings, I definitely think that there will be a lot of opportunities to do so. Even for myself, even next week, I'm actually onboarding onto documentation. And so I'll be learning more about documentation in addition to strategy. In addition, this fellowship is expected to be hybrid, and so the fellow would be working 3 days in the South San Francisco office and then 2 days at home. And something that Rebecca has touched on is that this fellowship does have a rotational component. And so for the last 6 months of this fellowship, you will be working at the FDA. And so I think that really sets this regulatory affairs fellowship apart from other fellowships, because you not only get to see strategy from the pharmaceutical company side, but also the FDA side. And so I think, both of these experiences will really help you become a more well-rounded regulatory professional. And so that's just kind of a quick overview of what I do. Also just an overview of regulatory affairs. But of course, if you have any specific questions about the role, I'm definitely happy to answer any of them at the end of the presentation. And so, of course, now I'm going to pass it on to Simone, who will be talking about the other fellowship that we are currently recruiting for.
Okay, hi. So I'm going to try not to cough, but I'm sick. Okay, so I'm Simone. I'm the second fellow that we're recruiting for. So like Rebecca said, I'm on the JPN team. So basically it's a function that really collaborates with patient communities across the product lifestyle. So the new fellow is going to have a bunch of new projects, but there's definitely going to be a focus on early to late stage clinical trial development, and gathering insights from the patient community, so unmet needs, because ultimately we're designing trials that are going to focus on patient benefits. So the new fellow is definitely going to have their own projects, but they're also going to collaborate with me on some. And some of my projects, just very briefly, if you guys have any questions, you can ask me at the end, reach out on LinkedIn, and I'll drop my email too if we run out of time. But basically, one of my projects is digital engagement. So right now I'm managing a patient-led innovation platform, and we're launching next month. So that's really exciting. The second one is a big DE&I project, so diversity, equity, inclusion. And I'm hoping to develop a global framework that's going to guide the GPN team to really integrate underserved patient voices in their day-to-day work. So that's really exciting. And then another project that you're definitely going to be working on next year is supporting development of new molecules, but from a patient perspective. So a bunch of like desk research about patient insights that we should be paying attention to in clinical trials. So that's like some of the projects just to give you guys a better idea. And the fellow will be remote. The US team is very small. There's like 4 of them. And the next year's preceptor is going to be on the East Coast. So definitely remote is a possibility, but there's definitely going to be chances to travel to conferences, to travel to Genentech and maybe Switzerland. But I know I'm going. But yeah, that's the fellowship. If you have any questions, you can ask at the end or reach out to me after. Oh,
And
Rebecca,
the
you're
slide just
muted.
captures the positions that we have available, so you can see the breadth of various roles across the company and the incredible fellow team that is contributing in all of these different spaces. So if you want to reach out to them as well, I'm sure they would be happy to connect and share their experience. But just to talk about the fellowship experience as a whole, Jen, I'm going to give it back to you so you can share your perspective.
Yes, ma'am, gladly. So I wanted to inform you guys of what the fellowship experience was for me, for my co-fellows as well, and then some of the general questions I had going into a postdoctoral fellowship. So one of the common questions that I had and other people had as we were in the process of interviewing and sending in applications was, is there one way to get to your destination? So some people were confused as if you had to have a PharmD, PhD. There's people that were engineers that still came from various backgrounds. So there's not one way fits all. So as for a Howard Fellowship per se, it's more so focused on the PharmD and PhD perspective. But also keep in mind that, as Dr. Olajide or Dr. Rosemary mentioned, industry experience, relevant experience is expansive. There's many things that you can use as far as like if you're APPEs, if you don't get the chance to have a industry related experience, you can use your APPE rotations to gain those skills that are transferable. So whether that be if you work in medical affairs, there's always going to be a medical affairs representative coming to the hospital. You can try asking questions, ask them for feedback. So there's not one way fits all. You can always try to find these experiences. Now, as far as project-wise, that is dependent per your functional area. As for me, my preceptor, they encourage me to have 2 projects ongoing at a time. It also depends on what your workload is and what your bandwidth is. Now, the other thing, and this is segueing into the preceptor fellowship relationship, is that we get the opportunity to have autonomy. So it's not like we were in school and the teacher tells us what to do. And that was one of the transitions that I found difficult when I first started, because I was waiting for someone to tell me what to do rather than me seeking out those opportunities and asking for clarifying questions. Oh, sorry, I thought there was a question. So with this fellowship experience and within this fellowship program, we have the ability to make the decisions for ourselves. Our preceptors have an open door policy. I can call my preceptor right now on the regular cell phone and we can have a conversation if I have any questions. And that's another thing as well. I never feel embarrassed if I don't know. In fact, they encourage you to ask questions if you're confused on a certain project a topic that was discussed in a meeting or during the lunch and learns. So these are the opportunities, as well as being competent and knowledgeable for the role models as well. As far as experience on site, so there's different, we have DNA groups. So for each ethnicity, so there's African Americans, there's Asian Americans, there's different type of diverse populations that we have going on as well as DNA groups. We also have the social events, so ho-hos. We host those, I know it's once a month, but I think sometimes, Mariah, you can correct me, sometimes it's 2 times, we can have it 2 times in a month. Yeah, so, but generally they're once in a month, and it's just we'll go to one building during social hour, they'll provide like drinks, minor food, snacks, and you can just socialize and just get to know and cross-collaborate and even know what other people are doing within the company. Because like Rebecca's mentioned, it's a lot of employees. So we're not, every day we don't get to see them. So these are opportunities where you can go and socialize and also get to know what other people are doing. Genentech is 100% eco-friendly, as well as everywhere in South San Francisco. What to look for, like Mariah mentioned, that sense of belonging, I know for me that was very important, especially leaving from Texas. I've never, what we call is leaving the Porsche. So when I was looking for fellowship programs, especially with Howard, which is one of, and we'll talk about that in the Q&A, what made me gravitate towards a Howard and Genentech fellowship program was a sense of belonging, making me feel comfortable, because I feel like that will help influence how productive I am at work. So that was something that I looked upon that was very wonderful for me. New experiences, opportunities. So like Dr. Olajide mentioned, just having that growth mindset. My preceptor asked me a question last week, and I thought it was just so odd. They asked me if I can be a preceptor to the next year student. And I was taken aback, because I was like, I don't think I'm prepared for that. But these are the challenges that we should start accepting, because it will only further our professional development, as well as in our professional careers, as personal and professional careers. So that overall, the nutshell of the fellow experience within our cohort, we meet monthly and we just talk and chat. It's on our calendars. Brittany and Kennedy does a wonderful job setting that up for us. So yeah, if you have any other questions, I would take them during the Q&A session.
Thank you, Jen. Okay, so we're going to spend a couple of minutes going through the application process, and I'm mindful of our time just to make sure we do have time for Q&A. So Rosemary, you want to talk through the application process?
Yes, and I can certainly come back to this if folks don't mind, but I'll go quickly. To be eligible for a fellowship at the College of Pharmacy, candidates should have graduated from accredited college with a PharmD or a PhD in pharmaceutical sciences or related life sciences discipline. We want to make sure that you are graduated at the start of the fellowship, and you must hold your degree as of July 1st. Applications for the fellowships that you heard today have opened, and we're going to be conducting interviews on a rolling basis. Keep in mind that you have to submit your application by November 23rd to be considered. There's a list of requirements on the slide, CV, letter of intent. If you're applying for both positions, you need a letter of intent for each of the position. Dr. Etienne's address is on here. That is who you're going to address that LOI to. We're requiring 3 letters of recommendation and also your unofficial transcript. And if you have any more questions, we will take them the next segment. The QR code at the bottom is for you to apply for the fellowships that you're interested in. Thank you. And I'll pass it back to you, Rebecca and Mariah.
Really nicely done. Really, really nicely done. So I want to, as I said, make sure we have time for question and answers. We're going to open the floor. You can ask us about anything. We're happy to share any perspective that would be valuable for you.
So given timing, I think we want to keep some of the questions that I know already you've asked and you end up in the interest form. So we're going to just do kind of a rapid round. If folks can, in the audience, they know who they are, who are going to answer all these questions, to spend a minute or less on this, that would be great. And then we can open it up to all of our prospective candidates. And so the first question, I'm going to turn it over to Jen. What makes the Howard Genentech program unique?
Okay, so I'll briefly mention, again, the sense of belonging aspect that I received during the interview process. So as we know, during the interview process, it's very stressful. We're going through API rotation, submitting applications and going through interviews. I think there were 2 things that really stuck out to me. Number one was during the interview process, it became as it was an informal conversation. So we just started chatting. It became natural. My preceptors, or the people that were interviewing me, just made me feel comfortable in the sense that I felt like I needed to be there. So that was one aspect of it. And then the second aspect is the publication aspect, which I found very important, because after the postdoctoral fellowship, we'll have the opportunity to apply for jobs. And given how Howard, on the Howard end, they push the publications aspect, I think that makes us very competitive applicants as we apply for post-job after the fellowship program.
Thanks so much.
I'll continue later on, but if we have more time.
Great answer. Love all of that. So number 2 is, what can I do to be a better candidate? And I'm going to pass that to Rosemary.
Thank you, Mariah. So I want you all to remember something. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. I borrowed that shamelessly from a colleague of mine who shared with me the value of preparing in advance. So prepare, prepare, prepare. And it's not just, writing something down. Actually, if you're going to prepare for mock interviews, answer questions with someone that's a mentor, bounce ideas of people that are fellows. So prepare. And also, I would say make this authentic. Think about what your purpose is, not just for the fellowship, but after you're done with the fellowship. And so when you're looking at positions, you can align those with your values. So prepare and also be authentic.
I love that. Thank you so much, Rosemary. Appreciate that. And then I'm going to turn it over to Jen. Actually, Simone, I'm going to ask you to answer this one. How should I prepare for the interview process?
Yeah, so definitely a good about me, like a little 1-minute elevator pitch, just briefly about you and why you're interested in the position. Definitely work and memorize that. Also, I would come up with like 5 or 6 different scenarios that you can spin to like the different behavioral questions. Just like think of stuff from rotations or school or work about just situations where you had to deal with conflict, where you had to work with team members, where you had to do leadership, because those are repetitive questions that you're going to be asked. So be able to like spin your scenarios, and kind of memorize those scenarios and perfect like twisting them. I mean, for me, like preparing is preparing for the questions. So, know your strengths, know your weaknesses, but also be very honest. Be honest about your personality, be honest about your passions and your interests, because I think that will show throughout the interview. Like how committed and dedicated you are. Yeah, but be yourself, because they can tell when you're not yourself. But yeah, and definitely something that I should have been more relaxed. Some interviews I took like really seriously in the beginning, and it just wasn't myself. So definitely like be relaxed and be confident. Because you did go through, pharmacy school, so you are qualified to be here. So yeah.
Great advice and guidance. Thank you,
I
Simone.
just have to double down on that one because what Simone said is right. And I was a part of her interview team. And I know she came all prepped and prepared, right? Genentech, we're real culture. We want to see genuine, authentic, who you are as a person, because it's as much about, how you like to work. So just be you. Don't be polished, and all a professional for us. That's not how we groove. Yeah.
As you said that, Sasha put
sorry.
that into the chat. So we're both aligned on it. So be
When
you.
you're yourself, you can see like what team you fit in better with too, because like you're already acting like yourself anyways, and you just like mesh better and vibe better with everyone.
I think this speaks to the last question around how can you describe the work culture at Genentech? I think we spoke to a lot of this. It really is showing up as yourself, being your authentic self, is what we expect when you enter the doors of Genentech, and knowing that you are going to be welcomed with open arms. We are a very inclusive culture here at Genentech. I think, if you haven't had experience in a big company, it is a little bit of a learning curve. So I'll just share that, but also a fantastic opportunity to network and really build your community. So I think there's a lot to look forward to here. We like to have fun. We work hard and we play hard here at Genentech. And I think everyone can attest to that. As Jen spoke to some of the social events that take place at Genentech, we have our ho-hos, we have opportunities to actually give back to our community, our Gives Back Week, where we also have a fun performance at the end that we get to go to all together. So there's lots of events that are happening on campus, and there's many ways for you to get involved if you are into a particular interest. So really excited to share more about that. And if you have additional questions, feel free to reach out to me. I sit on our people and culture side, so I can definitely offer resources around our benefits. All right, and now we get to open it
Hey,
up.
Mariah.
Yes.
Back real quickly to the one with, because I see Felix and Abby, and you said Sasha and Kingsley, right? Go back to that slide with all of our fellows. We're at the circle one.
Yes.
Right there. hey, if you know, are your shining faces, wave your hand, right? A part of the group. I kind of flashed over this one just in the spirit of time. But like I said, we've got a number of our fellows here with us today. And I know you guys would be happy to connect. So you can see their faces with us today, the roles that they're in, and feel free to reach out to them if you do want to have any more conversations about the experiences that they're having. So thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone, for joining as a part of this discussion. Now we can go to the Q&A.
Thank you for recognizing all of our fantastic fellows. And we already have a hand, which I love. So thank you so much for asking the question. So I'm going to start with, and is it pronounced Patrick?
Yes, it is pronounced Patrick. Thank you so much.
All right, Patrick, take it away.
Well, first off, I just want to say thank you for hosting this session. It was very informative, and I really appreciate just the outscope of what Genentech has to offer. One thing that I do like to stand on and pride myself in is community involvement. So as I was looking with Genentech, I saw that there was the Future Lab or Genin Goes to Town. So I wanted to know, as a oncoming fellow, would you be able to participate in some of those community events or even initiate some new community involvement projects?
I love this question so much because this was one of the biggest reasons I joined Genentech was our community investment. And so I can speak to it from a perspective of, yes, you will have access to participating in those events. We strongly believe in everyone finding their interest here at Genentech and finding an outlet through serving our community. So yes, there are many opportunities, and I'm happy to share those with all of you.
Thank
you so much.
Great question, Patrick. Thank you. I'm going to turn it to, and is it Angel?
Yes, thank you. Thank you guys so much for this presentation tonight. I'm Angel. I'm a P4 at the University of Georgia. I wanted to ask specifically about Simone's position. So given that it's remote, how are you able to incorporate the Howard University components into your fellowship? And how do you maintain that connection and that sense of community with your co-fellows?
Okay, so well, one, Howard does, like, I could interact with them at conferences, like I'm going to one in December. One for orientation, everyone does like a week orientation in June, so you get to meet everyone and make friendships there. We do have a group chat. Also, we have committees, so we have different committee group chats. That's a great way to interact and bond with everyone because you have to plan events together. And like in terms of like the Genentech fellows, even though they're in Cali, a lot of them, we have like bi-weekly session like meetings where we just like, it's more like social and hanging out. But then we also have the ones with Mariah too, where we can stay up to date. So it's like a lot of virtual stuff, but it's still interacting. It's what you make of it. And you do have the option to meet up at conferences and stuff like that, which Howard will pay for. But yeah, you can make the best of it. There's options.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Simone. And I'm going to pass it to the next folks. So is it Arjun?
Yeah. So I also wanted to just say thank you to all of you for being here. My name is Arjun. I'm a P4 at Pitt Pharmacy. I'm actually on rotation right now at Howard as part of a new exchange program that we've got set up. So, you know, I've been a big fan of what I've experienced so far. And, you know, I would like to continue being immersed in the Howard culture. So I did have a question more generally about the fellowships, you know, especially since there are so many different positions that are already filled and Genentech is such a large corporation. How customizable is a fellow's experience? If you're particularly interested in something or passionate about it, are you kind of at the whim of the business needs, or are you really able to shape your experience into what you want it to be?
I'm going to have Rebecca take this one, and then maybe Rosemary, if you want to expand.
Yeah, I'm smiling because my answer is, you know, autonomy was the word that we used before, right? So you can come in and shape your role. I would say, you know, you're in a sandbox, right? For us within the patient partnership team, but our patient partnership team connects to many other groups. Right. And so if you have an idea and you want to collaborate with another area and represent a different view or perspective that we haven't thought about, go for it. It's pretty open in the spaces that you can touch. We, obviously identify needs where we are defining projects that you're going to support. In addition to that, if you have new ideas, bring them on.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you. And thank you, Arun, for the question. I'm actually really thrilled you asked this question because I came onto this role back in June, and the fellows have been immersed in creating committees and creating opportunities for themselves. So you get that opportunity. We're at a transformational stage. It's so much that you can do that sometimes I'm just like, okay, fellows, you need to focus on your day-to-day job, right? Because there's a lot of growth opportunities here. So yes, the answer is yes, you can come in and you can provide input, you can drive opportunities for yourself and for other fellows.
Just if I could say one thing, I wanted to add on to that, just because for me personally, when I spoke to my preceptor, I asked him if I was able to start taking modeling and simulation classes, because that was one of the things like within my department. So there's the guys that love the science, like the metrics part of it on modeling and simulation, and then it's just us that analyze it. So I found myself like there was a knowledge gap as far as building the models that we use to present for drug approvals and stuff to the FDA. So upon me expressing that to my preceptor, they actually helped me enroll into classes, which I'm taking right now, UCSF. So I'm saying all this to say that it is customizable. Just have to open up, speak up on it to your preceptors, and they'll be willing to listen.
Thank you all so much for sharing.
Thank you.
All right. Is it Itoya?
Yes, it is, but I think I'll defer to Charlene and Jaleese. I think their hands were up before mine.
Charlene, how about you go next then?
It's fine if you want to go before me.
Y'all are so kind.
Yeah, you can go first.
Oh, okay, thank you. So, I just wanted to first and foremost say thank you so much for this opportunity, for this information session. It has been so insightful. My name is Itoya Hikamenor. I'm a fourth-year PharmD candidate, currently at Howard University, College of Pharmacy. I am just so excited about this whole program. I kind of came into the industry game late, so I'm just kind of playing catch up and learning about the programs. But what I had a question about was actually two questions, one for Rebecca and one for Simone, if you don't mind. But my question for Rebecca was, we've mentioned a lot of the qualities and things that you all want to see in a fellow. And I just wanted to ask you, if you had to pick the top three qualities that you would look for in a fellow, what would those top three be for you?
So I want people who are, as we've talked about, being a change maker, somebody who's willing to step out. And one of the things I really like about Simone is she does not shy away from sharing ideas and stepping into new spaces. And, in the patient partnership function, this is a relationship. We are connecting to patient and patient communities. So I also am looking for people who are able to connect and engage with others and be a part of the network, externally and internally, right? So that we can bring other groups along and folks that can, communicate effectively to represent the patient voice, because our purpose is to elevate the patient voice in the decisions that we're making as a company. And so you need to be able to communicate, be clear, stand up, influence. That's more than three, but maybe I bundle them all together on that way.
Thank you so much. And my second question for Simone is, I'm actually really interested in the position that you mentioned, the product development and medical affairs. And I just wanted to know, what do you think is the most enriching and rewarding part of your fellowship at the moment? The part that stands out to you, your selling point, if you had to put a sign up and say, hey guys, this is the best thing about this program, what do you think?
I think it's all the stuff that we do to engage with patients. Because there's like a stigma against pharma in general, especially like minority patients in healthcare. So with this role, like you're actively making sure that their insights are included. Like for one, like I'm managing the digital platform. So patients, like real patients are actually gonna come on that and give their input to Genentech. And hopefully we can turn it into like an app later on. But I think that's really good. Before this fellowship, I did a lot of like patient reported outcomes in school. So I really have a passion for that. And Genentech and definitely GPN team, they definitely value that. And there's also a big emphasis on like diversity and getting those underserved patients on a global aspect. So I'm helping with that too. And I think that's like my favorite part is they're doing a lot to really be able to impact these patients. And what I also like about this project is that with the DNI, not only are we trying to get these patients, but we're also thinking of ways to give back to their communities. Because we're taking them in for the trials and we're running trials there, but we're also thinking of ways that like Genentech can also give back to them too. So like all of that stuff, it's really like the impact with the patients for me.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Simone.
Great question. And I'm going to turn it to, is it Jaleesa?
Yes, it is. Thank you so much. My name is Jaleesa Timberlake, and I am a 2024 Doctor of Pharmacy candidate at Lee Com School of Pharmacy. And so my first approved clinical trial was actually with Genentech. It was Zelbora. So it's really
Elbaraf, yes.
It's Zelbora. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It was still V600 when I had it, so that's good to know. It's an awesome company. I had a great experience working with the Genentech team, and my question is for Rebecca and Simone kind of touched on it a little bit just now, but my question was going to be, how do you go about developing the patient partnerships and patient communities within your role if you are remote?
Yeah, so I represent this perspective on behalf of the Global Patient Network and this team. So the entire team is remote, right? We are a global team. We have 3 people in the US. We have people in Prague, 2 in Brussels, 1 in Dubai, and others predominantly based in Basel, Switzerland. So truly a global team because our connection is external where the patient and patient communities are. So as a kind of externally facing role, it doesn't matter where we live. We hire for talent. We hire for the right people who can build those relationships. And I would say, in the world we live in today, our patient partnership leaders are the primary relationship managers with these patient and patient groups as a part of that. And so we invest a lot of time building relationships with them. We also do, as Simone mentioned, have an opportunity to meet with them when we go to congresses and meetings. We also bring a number of patients together for patient advisory councils when we need their advice and perspective. And so there are lots of ways that we interact and engage with them. But you are dedicated to really building those relationships in a very invested way to make sure their perspectives are truly represented.
That's amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I think we need to honor Shylon. You've been such a gentleman, right? And did I say it right, Shylon?
Yeah, you got it right. Yeah. So my question, I guess, is a bit more technical, and let me introduce myself. I'm Shylon Pierre Francis. I go to the University of Louisiana Monroe College of Pharmacy. I'm a P4 student, and I'm happy to be here. So my question is for Reg Affairs. My only experience with Reg Affairs has been working with the FDA. And I know Genentech is a global company. So when you're working with other health authorities overseas, so like Europe, Japan, and Asia, even in South America, those requirements, whenever you're having a new product pushed forward, could be different than with the FDA. So how do you go about making sure that you're meeting those deadlines or requirements for those other health authorities that are global, other than the FDA? Or is the FDA just your standard for the most part?
Yeah, sure. So on the projects that I'm working on, they're all global. And so I'm working not only with US partners, but also EU, as well as like China and Japan as well. And so I would say for the most part, I mainly work like with the FDA requirements. There's actually, separate people who are located in Europe. We have EU partners, EU support partners who mainly focus on that. And so mainly the way I like support them is mainly just, coming together in our meetings, giving, our timeline, giving our advice. But I don't really focus too much on the EU side. We mainly have people working on that part, but I mainly focus on the FDA, the US side.
That's a great question, Shailin, and thank you so much, Brittany. I can chime in here. Brittany, the way you said it is, you provide timelines. You're actually aligning. You're doing such a great work with your counterparts in other countries, and I think that's the insight that you gain as you're on your rotation and you're doing that fellowship. You're able to understand what the needs are by being in the same room and understanding where you need to provide information to them, because there are interdependencies, right? When you're putting out submissions, you need to know the timelines for other counterparts. So, Brittany is doing great work, and I'm sure that she's going to learn more about all the other countries as she's going along. But that's a really good question, Shailin. Thank you.
Thank you.
Arjun.
So I do have more questions. If anyone else has some, they can go first. But if not, I can keep you busy for a few minutes.
Cute.
So this is more directed towards you, Rebecca. You guys have told us a lot of the qualities you're looking for in people, and it seems like based on Genentech's company culture, it's all about being yourself and you kind of being authentic to who you are. So given that you know the qualities you're looking for, and you want people to be themselves, do you guys know, will you know a candidate when you see them, or is this the sort of process where you'd expect to go through multiple rounds of interviews?
Yeah, I want to be fair to the process. I think you're going to go through a few interviews, because what we appreciate, and I say that in the context of, we really, in honoring diversity, want to make sure that because one person's perspective is only one person's perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you'll connect with a few different people, because each one of them will have a different perspective on who you are. And we really want to honor that diversity of opinions as we're evaluating candidates. And I would say, in addition, we as a company want to make sure that we're focusing on competencies and your skills, transferable skills of what you bring. It's not about your experiences per se, but it's about your competencies, what you're good at, what are your strengths, what do you do. And so, be prepared to talk about that. As I think one of us, I can't remember if it was Simone or who represented, right? Be prepared to talk about your strengths and who you are as a person and what your passion is. And you'll share that perspective with a few different folks, because each one will, have a different experience connecting to you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I did also have kind of a question about, how broadly customizable it is, because, based on the experiences I've had so far, still as a student, I feel like the best ways I've really been able to get the patient perspective is simply just through direct patient care. So, even in a position like Simone's, which is remote, in that patient connection team, are there any opportunities to even, if just through like a volunteering sort of setup, have those direct experiences with patients?
I think there's a lot of ways. So let me answer it this way. There's a lot of ways that we connect as a company in community events in different ways, that if there are things that you want to support within your community or that involve patients, as it relates to taking on responsibilities within the scope of connecting to patients, then, we need to make sure we're mindful of the scope of our role in our jobs, right? So if it's a volunteer thing in a community and you want to connect in and provide support, we're pretty open to considering that, as Mariah said. If it's, as a part of your job or connecting to a patient group, then we just need to work through that because it's, the scope of the job that we need to be true to.
I can add to that. You do have the chance to work with like patient councils at conferences. Like there's going to be one in December. And in terms of directly with patients, like part of my role for one of the digital platforms is to like communicate with them through like polls and surveys and ask them questions and just like virtually, but not like in person contact with them.
Chad.
So what you're doing is bringing the skill set that you've had with direct patient care into understanding what types of questions to ask patients and direct them using patients' voices. So you have a global impact through a role like that.
Mhm.
And I did also have one final question. I forgot who said it, but it was mentioned earlier that working in such a large company does have a bit of a learning curve to it. So I was just hoping you could speak a bit more as to, how Matrix, the setup at Genentech is, and kind of what that would look like and what that learning curve may be.
We're a Matrix company. There's no doubt about that. And one of the things that I like about that is that you will find that we are not a company that is driven by hierarchy. We are a company driven on the foundation of relationships and networks. So my team is a network, right? We collaborate, we work across other groups and make connections. So it takes a while just to recognize you coming into a space, you kind of need to learn different areas and different, teams and what they do and who your connection points are. One of the things I really value is that everybody's pretty open to sharing connections and, asking questions is easy. So who do you need to connect to where? I mean, just today for members of my team, I was answering questions about who they can connect to help different projects and initiatives that they're supporting. So I would just say relationship-based company in a pretty collaborative network-based model.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, without a lot of top-down. I mean, this is not, if you're that top-down leadership style, that is not Genentech, right? So guys, I really appreciate the questions. I am going to need to run, but I am certainly happy to answer any additional questions that you may have to stay. If you are able to stay on and you want to ask or you want to reach out to me directly, I have a daughter who's in high school who I need to take to a college application, the process of submissions this evening. So I'm going to run, but I've really enjoyed the time with everyone and certainly am hopeful that I will see you as a part of our evaluation process. So hopefully see you again.
Thank you so much, Rebecca, for being here.
Thanks.
And we can stay on for maybe a couple more minutes if there's some lingering questions. Thanks, Rebecca. Any other questions that folks have? We'll stay on for a few more minutes. And if you need to jump, that's fine too. All right, Patrick, you're back.
Yes, I did have one more question. This is geared towards some of the fellows that haven't spoken in regards to the presentation. I wanted to ask, in regards to the projects that the fellows have worked in or within the timeline, I want to know how has the projects that the fellows how's the project that the fellows worked on contributed to the company as a whole?
I guess I can take that. Thanks for that question, Patrick. Again, my name is Kingsley, so I'm the first year field medical fellow. So your question was so I'm fairly early, so we're 3 months and a few weeks in. So I'm currently working on a competitive intelligence project right now. The goal is to eventually be able to alleviate some of the extra work that our current medical affairs teams are actually taking on, or the MSLs are taking on. So to say it's impacting right now is still pretty early, but the goal is to actually help them alleviate a lot of the work they have to do by compiling all their work in one space so they can access it whenever they have like customer engagements or answering questions to healthcare health ACPs, healthcare practitioners, any patients that we have out there, payers, things of that nature. So I think I don't know how everybody else is kind of working right now, but our impact will eventually be somewhere towards a later stage, but it's early right now on the projects that we're working on. But the goal is to help alleviate some of this extra work that the current MSLs are working on. Hope that answers your question.
Thank you, that does. I appreciate it.
Thanks for sharing, Kingsley. Does anyone else want to share what they're working on?
I can share only
Hey,
because
Sasha?
like I'm currently at a conference. So right now I'm at the pharma conference, talking about a big topic across pharma, which is IRA. So talking about IRA, also 340B, and some states are trying to have prescription drug affordability boards, and setting upper price limits on drugs, especially in the rare disease space. Genentech does have majority of the drugs are either in oncology or in the rare disease space. They're not really being flexible, whether it's an orphan drug or a non-orphan drug. So some prescriptions are getting slammed, which is going to limit access. I do work with U.S. patient advocacy relations, so it's kind of like in our realm to make sure that those who are in need are advocated for and will have access to the proper treatment in order to, of course, help their quality of life as they move throughout with that disease state. So that is something that I'm working on right now. So I'm in Dallas for that.
Thank you, Sasha. All right. I think we'll finalize these last questions here, and then we'll sign off. All right, Atoya.
Yes, thank you. I actually had a question for Dr. Olajide. It is very nice to meet you. Dr. Etienne speaks very highly of you, so it's nice to finally meet you virtually. But I had a question. You were mentioning about the HU components of the fellowship, and there was mentioned an opportunity to teach alongside Howard faculty. And I kind of just wanted to know a little bit more about that in terms of, like which class would that be, and like how would that look in terms of the lecture style?
Nice to meet you too. I've not met you in person, but thank you for that question. And this fellowship program has many opportunities. So depending on which fellowship position that you're interested in, there are different components from the HU perspective. So you mentioned teaching. So what you will do is when you're interested in something like teaching, you speak to us earlier on, and we try to make sure we match you in your professional development activities with something like that. So I can speak to people in various positions right now. One, there's a person that's actually teaching oncology classes, not through a specific Genentech position, but in other areas, because she mentioned that she's interested in publishing in oncology. So you would speak up earlier on. We'll make sure we identify the different skills you'd like to build on, and we can customize that so that you get that training during your time as a fellow.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
All right, our final question, Shailon.
Okay, yeah. So my question has more so to do with the conferences portion of it. So I guess it's a question for both parties here. So for Howard and for Genentech, when it comes to the conferences, do you for the topic that I'm assuming you may be presenting or the event that you're participating in, ahead of time, do you create like a poster or PowerPoint, a document that you share to the public at the conference? Do you do that ahead of time, or is that something that's already laid out, that's made before we get there as the fellows? And is it usually like mid-year, or is it just international or national conferences when it comes to different health profession organizations?
So I can speak to Howard and just some of the experiences fellows are having. Conferences is a hot topic, And we want to make sure that a fellow that's intending on going on a conference that aligns with your business functional area. So you will definitely be speaking to your preceptor while you are a fellow, and you can line up the conferences that line up with your specific functional area. So folks in medical affairs typically go to DIA, the Drug Information Association meeting. So you would, speak with your preceptor. You would have learning objectives for those conferences. And if you're at a point where you have a publication, that is something you would create in alignment with your objectives and your preceptor, and you would present that. So there are various opportunities. Of course, we look at what you've done before you become a fellow, but this is truly practical training while you're a fellow. So you will be doing this work and have the ability to present posters and even publish manuscripts during that fellowship period. Does anyone else want to add to that? Any current fellows or Mariah?
I can just add that there will be a presence at mid-year this year, which is fantastic. We're really excited to be represented at mid-year. And so we'll have a representative from Genentech there to answer questions for those who will view our table. And it's just a great professional development opportunity that many of our other fellows will be able to go to. But there are definitely conferences that I think will come up from time to time that we definitely want our fellows to engage in after speaking with their preceptor.
Thank you to both.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for the fantastic questions. Again, we are around, and if you have additional questions, please reach out. We will send a follow-up email with the recording as well as our contact information if you have those lingering questions. So thank you so much for just being present and coming in super engaged. And it was so wonderful to meet you all, and we look forward to your applications.
Thank you, everyone.
And yes, good luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Take care.